taking the right medication, there's a 90% chance that they will never ever attempt suicide or attempt suicide again. So it's finding those right resources. That's to us. If it works for somebody else, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. But then you'll seek somebody else, because we're all different human beings, and what works for somebody might not work for us. So I'll shut up now.
No, that's okay. No, and to piggyback off on that, one of the roles that I have here at LHU is I can help students to get connected with accommodations inside the classroom and outside the classroom that may be helpful. But I think a lot of what I do is really answer some questions that are contributing to stress and try to get people connected with a network of resources. So therapists and doctors and medication are a piece of it, but then, you also want to try to build that network of support so that you have kind of a village around you, and you can get answers to this question here, and get other support here in these other ways that may be helpful for you. So I feel like that's a lot of what my role is making students aware of options that are on and off campus, and then helping to connect with those options and talking about what might be right at this time, and then maybe down the road that changes and something else might be right. But I totally agree that we're all different people with different personalities, and finding who you connect with might be not the way that it happens right away. You might have to work on that a little bit, but eventually, as Tiffany mentioned, that's really important to find who you connect with and who you can talk to, and it might be a village, it might be more than one person.
I'm sorry. I was just saying, more importantly, you're not alone. That there's always somebody, and just keep on trying. And eventually, you're gonna, even if you have someone who cares about you, just to listen to you, that's great in itself. But people who are, especially people who are having thoughts of suicide, just think they're all alone and don't have anybody, and that they won't reach out. So sometimes it takes us to see those people around us that are struggling, and be open enough to ask that hard question. Are you having thoughts of suicide? I've noticed these change. And if you look at people who are thinking about suicide, actually, there's a huge behavioral change and huge personality change, and life changes. So change and loss are two of the biggest clues that we can look for. So if they experience that, or we experience that ourselves, sometimes we think that we are alone. So, but it takes bravery as far as you guys to approach your friends or family and to say, I've noticed these changes. You're not yourself anymore. You're not going to school. You're flunking your classes, and that's not like you. What's going on with you? And ask that kind of indirect question, but then follow up with saying, sometimes people in your situation are thinking about suicide. Are you thinking about suicide? And if we ask a direct question, most likely we're going to get a direct answer. It's when you ask something like this, which is a huge, big no-no in our world, is that you're not thinking about suicide, are you? Or you wouldn't do anything stupid, would you? And what are people going to say to that? No. So we have to ask it the right way. Are you having thoughts, or are you thinking about suicide? Talking about suicide is not going to put a thought in our head. That's like a big myth. Either someone's thinking about it or they're not thinking about it. But if we ask the direct question, you're going to get a direct answer, yes or no, and then then we get those people that help us. And just ask how they're doing and ask their story, I always say. And try to get people to open up to you, and then if they need professional help, especially if they do have a plan, they do have the means to do it, then you want to share that with somebody, these people up here, that can help get them the direct help they need.
And this is geared to more of suicide survivors, but when I lost my mom in high school, I was so scared to talk to anyone or reach out. But my guidance counselor was really close with me, and she actually set me up with a therapy group of kids my age who had also lost someone to suicide, and it was absolutely amazing. I think that group saved me. I have so many friends through there that I still talk to. So it's not just if you're suicidal, but if you've lost someone to suicide, you can still reach out. You shouldn't be scared to, because you'll find people who can support you regardless.
And there are what we call loss survivors. Loss survivor is someone who lost a loved one or a friend to suicide. In most counties in Pennsylvania, there's probably usually at least one in most counties. If not, there's one in a neighboring county. I was just at one last night that I'm heading up down in Philadelphia, and we had about 15 people there, and people laughed, they cried, and it's okay to open up about what you experience afterwards. But at the same time, we all know people who are thinking about suicide. How many people in here know someone who's thinking about suicide today, that you think? About half. I do too. How many people in here have lost a loved one or a friend that you, or someone you knew to suicide? About 75%. Well, I'm really sorry for those losses you experienced. And so what questions do you have for us about those people that are thinking about suicide? Because they obviously they need help. So how can we, help you?
Well, so my question was kind of like going the other way, but my senior year I lost a very close teammate to suicide, and my one friend was actually there when he took his life, so he didn't know the proper steps to stop him or things that he could say or do. So while he was waiting for help, he ended up taking his life. So what are things that you could do in that moment to like say or do to better prevent it from happening?
Does anyone I can answer this? Well, hopefully, one, we don't want to put ourselves in harm's way. So if someone has a firearm, we don't want to intervene because they can get hurt themselves. That's not what we want to do. The best thing we can do at that time is contact help. I assume it was a firearm, I'm not sure. We want to contact immediate help, but hopefully just engage in a conversation. Just say that you care. Say I'm here for you. Hopefully that just convey the fact that they're not alone. Convey the fact that you care, that there are others who care. And that immediacy, in that crisis situation, that's obviously a top, especially if somebody does have means available right there. But again, we don't want to put ourselves in harm's way. But if you have the opportunity in a safe environment, I think it's just sitting down and having that conversation and being open to listening and not being judgmental. I think people sometimes will use guilt to stop somebody from thinking about suicide. Like, oh, you can't do this to your family or friends. Or this is going to affect so many others if you die. Really, so the guilt that they're already feeling and the emotional angst that they're going through, that's not going to help them. What's going to help them is just to convey that you care. And I always ask somebody, what's keeping you alive right now? Because there's a quote I always use in my trainings, that most people don't want to die by suicide, they just want their pain to end. So they're going through an emotional pain that they don't see any hope at all. So if you hear someone say they're hopeless about their life, that's usually a big warning sign. So it's just engaging in a conversation, just to show that you care, say that, talk about what they care about in life. So sometimes we often ask people who are thinking about suicide, well, who cares about you in your life? And what do they likely say at that point? No one does. But I always flip the script and say, well, who do you care about? Because there's usually always someone that we all care about, right? So if we're thinking that way, then hopefully you get that person thinking. And you hope they respond, well, I care about this person, I care about this person. Sometimes even it's a pet that might keep someone alive. So it's trying to find those things that people care about that's in their lives, just to have that conversation with them. If that's not working, then you call somebody on campus. Maybe it's calling 911, maybe it's calling crisis intervention, but there's always resources available out there. But in those moments, it is hard, and it is difficult, and it is anxiety producing to the person that's trying to help. So it's just hopefully sitting down and let them dump. People who are suicidal, like I would call it, have an emotional backpack. And usually that backpack is so huge, if you imagine just the backpacks that you guys carry, that you end up tipping over or tipping forward. So what we want to do is give the opportunity to cut, in a sense, the hole out of that emotional backpack by just engaging in with questions. Tell me what's going on with you. Why do you want to kill yourself? Asking those types of questions. And so letting them dump and cry. One of the big things that people do. So what do you do if someone's crying?
Awkwardly pack them all in the bathroom.
Or like most people, unfortunately, yeah, or give them Kleenex. If you give them Kleenex, what does that do? Stops the crying. We want them to cry because we need them to dump because they've been holding all these emotions in for anywhere from days, weeks, months to possibly years. So the more we give them the opportunity to vent, whether it's crying or slam a desk or putting a hole through a wall, whatever, that's okay. Let them do that. Also, another hint is get on their level. We don't want to talk above somebody saying, hey, how you doing, buddy? We want to get on their level. Use eye contact.
That helps a lot. Personal experience that helps a lot. Don't be above them. It freaks them out. It makes it worse.
And if they fall to the ground, what do? Get down on the ground with them. I don't care if it's muddy or whatever, because they're going to know that, you know what? They care enough to get in the mud with it. They care enough to sit on the ground with it. So those kind of little hints are huge. But, you know, it's remaining calm, because I'll call it this. When someone says, yes, I'm thinking about suicide, I call it the oh shit mode. I probably shouldn't swear, but that's what I call it. But I'm saying that in my head, but here it's like, wow, I am so sorry. But I'm so glad you told me so, because I really want to help you. So tell me what's going on with you. Tell me what's going on in your life. So you want them to, you know, say, well, you know, you might get, well, I'm flunking my class. My girlfriend or boyfriend just broke up with me. My parents are going through a divorce. And then getting them to just emotionally dump. And that dumping just helps, because it usually brings someone from here, when they're in that crisis, hopefully to an even medium, to where they start thinking common sense, because now they know that you're not alone. Just simple things to say, you know what, whether you think you're alone or not, I'm here with you, and I do care about you. It means a lot, and that's going to hopefully not think that they're so alone in their life anymore. So that was a lot. Hopefully some of those hints will help.
Now, I can say there were a couple of personal experiences for me where me just initiating the fact that I do care, it resonated with people, and it did kind of just bring them back down. And, you know, even I'm more or less a stranger to a lot of people. So the first day of class, when I'm talking to a group of students for 45 minutes, you don't know me, I don't know you. And the fact that I tried to just put it out there that I went through it, you're not alone. These things are very normal. We're looking at talk about it. She came up to me right after class and shared some very, very personal things about how very bad it's gotten for her. And for whatever reason, me, her professor, that she's known for 45 minutes, I'm the only one that she feels comfortable talking to at this whole entire university. And we got her into counseling services. I check up on her every single week. She's doing absolutely phenomenal. As an athletic trainer, we do screen our athletes bi-weekly. And if they score high enough on our screen tools, we do initiate a conversation. And there is a question on our PHQ-9 report, or it was a professional scale, a questionnaire that asks, the last question says, have you ever thought about hurting yourself with suicide? So it's on a Likert scale of 4, if the circle equal 1. I haven't talked with them. Be surprised that even if you just bring up the conversation, if you just show that you care, it really resonates with them. It really affects them in a very positive way.
So my question is for the whole panel. So I've never actually lost someone to suicide, but I've almost lost my sister 3 times. What advice do you have for, you know, someone on the other end, like me, or like someone who's actually lost a loved one or almost whatever? Because like I know it's important to have advice to help them, but like what's some good advice to like help us as the other side?
I'll go ahead. Some self-care, being able to take care of yourself, being able to, sometimes family members don't feel like they can let that burden to somebody else, you know, because I'm the only one, like a lot of times when people are contemplating suicide and stuff, they choose one person that they won't talk to, they won't let anybody else know, they can't tell anybody, and things like that. Try not to get in that kind of situation. You know, I'm going to talk to somebody, I'm going to see if I can get you some help. You can share that burden with somebody else. You know, support. There's some really
go through having a family member or loved one that has mental health issues and what that's like for them and getting support from other people. So it's big for you to be able to talk to your support network, friends, other family members and stuff about what's going on and how you're feeling. To kind of keep yourself, I always tell students you can't pour from an empty vessel. Like if you don't take care of yourself, you don't have things to offer other folks. So just my 2 cents about taking care of yourself and sharing that burden with other people. Whether it's you talking to, people think all the time, it's like they'll say to me, well, I didn't come to therapy because I didn't think that my problem was that important. And I always say to them, every problem is important and not everybody needs, sessions for, a year. Sometimes I see students once or twice and whatever we talked about, things just kind of magically, things are better and they go about their way. So I would encourage you to talk to people in your life.
Also, don't play the blame game. If you lose someone to suicide, it's absolutely awful, but it's not your fault. Don't go around blaming yourself or blaming